As a professional orgasm activist, I definitely dream of labour. No, I'm actually joking. Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. I've seen lots of videos called I Don't Dream of Labour, so I thought I would talk about it myself. And I think this comes from a viral tweet, and I think it was something like, what's my dream job? I don't dream of labour, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So I've watched a lot of these videos and they talked about, dream jobs and corporate life and things like that. And 12 years ago, I actually left my job in luxury real estate to become a sex blogger. And it's been quite a journey over the last 12 years. And I've had lots of challenges in it during that time. And I wanted to share some of my own personal experience and insight on CVs and professional life and dreaming of labour, dream jobs, etc. I've made some notes that I probably can't read, but anyway, I started off having a very normal life, let's say. I went to a university that I actually specifically chose because it had a very high successful graduate employment rate, and we weren't talking about any kind of job, but actually jobs that were something to do with your degree. So that made me influence the decision I made when I was at university time. But at that time, I still didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. All I knew was that I wanted to study something that I was genuinely passionate about, and I studied French and European studies, and in both subjects I actually specialised in feminism. For example, in European studies, I specialised in feminist movements, and in French, I was looking at the feminisation of the French language. So it was always kind of like maybe 60% of my degree was actually about feminism. But then again, I kind of enjoyed it and all that, but I never thought, how am I going to get a job from this, If I'd thought like that, I might have studied business studies or something like that, but that wasn't something that really appealed to me back then. And also, I just think doing something because it's supposed to be good is not really the right reason, in my opinion. That said, I didn't escape that kind of mentality, though. I remember going to careers meetings where they would teach you how to write your CV. And there's this really massive emphasis on trying to justify your life choices to future employers. And I think that's absolutely a load of I think we should live our lives in the most authentic way, and then people who will judge you and people won't. And I think you should be surrounding yourself with people who accept you for who you are, and I think if you are authentic, then you'll in your job, then you'll be better at it, in my opinion. But this type of conditioning that, for example, I did some voluntary work in an inner city school with a French teacher, which was just absolute chaos, I tell you. I did it every week, and it was a French teacher, so the kids did not care about learning French at all. So it was just literally like glorified babysitting, because these kids were just wild and answering back and all of this. And I did that purely because it would look good on my CV, to have some voluntary work. I wasn't doing it because my heart was in it. Nothing wrong with voluntary work. I think you should do voluntary work I think it's great that people do voluntary work, but it has to be for the right reasons. And also this type of mentality of explaining gaps in your CV for future employers. I think there's nothing wrong with having gap years or breaks or just having time off to kind of just relax. I mean, life isn't just about work. But I did dream of labour at that time, and I did want to work for some big multinational. That was my dream. And I actually, but at the same time, I was kind of like, I did want to work in my passion. So when I graduated, I came to Spain because I wanted to have another language under my belt. I didn't really intend to be here forever, and that's what's happened. I just wanted to learn Spanish to have another language under my belt, and then go to London or something and get a proper job. And it never really happened like that. And I was actually an English teacher, which was never a passion of mine either. And I was giving classes in businesses. And I must tell you that I really envied my students, the ones who were in multinationals. I worked for massive, really big multinationals. And I just went to these big industrial corporate buildings where people have, they have these cards they have to swipe in to get in the building. And then these massive canteens. And this kind of like space of anonymity. I thought that was kind of cool, really. I thought it was really cool to be in that environment. Everyone's dressed up and everyone is kind of motivated by their career and their job. And I wanted that for myself, but that didn't really happen for me. I ended up, when I left teaching, etc., I ended up working for kind of small, medium-sized enterprises, maybe family companies, which didn't really have a hierarchy. It was all very flat, and then one decision maker, two decision makers, and then everyone else was just on the next level kind of thing. But then when I started working in sales, that was kind of like a happy medium of being an employee and being independent, because it is performance based and you do end up earning more money than the other employees. And also I think the way your employers treat you, it's not just like an employee, because you are kind of driving the business of the company. So I did like that for several years. But let me see what I'm going to talk about now. But then in 2009, I was working in real estate, luxury real estate, and then that was the worst time to be in it. I was working with no salary, as a commission-only basis, and it was very difficult because I made no sales for several months, and I basically had nothing to eat. I had to walk to work, and I had a rat infestation. It was really crazy, but I really believe that it was the universe kind of pushing me towards another destiny, because at the end of the day, I really did work hard for other people when I was in my 20s, but then it never really kind of gave me the rewards that I really wanted in life. So I guess my destiny was something else. And I didn't really have that kind of entrepreneurial spirit or self-confidence to actually work for myself. It was really a situation that I was kind of pushed into because of circumstances, and I was also very tired from doing my best for someone else and not reaping the reward. So I thought, you know what, it's now or never. I'm going to start a sex blog and I don't care what anyone says. Well, that's not quite that simple. I had to overcome a lot of judgment in my personal life, as well as my own kind of, self-doubt, which I think anyone has when they start a project. But for me, as soon as I made this decision, I started to actually get work as a sex blogger, and made immediately. I got a book deal. I started writing I set up a blog, and that did quite well. It's doing quite well. And then, and also there weren't many bloggers back in 2009. It wasn't like now where everyone wants to be an influencer. So I was offering something quite unique. I was writing about sexuality with my own perspective. And I was also supplying erotic photos to media outlets. So I was really kind of like the full package. I was illustrating my articles and writing them as well. So I ended up writing for lots of Spanish media outlets such as GQ, Playboy, El País, which is the biggest Spanish newspaper. So immediately I was kind of like, my decision was justified, so to speak. But at the first, it was really, really hard. I had to actually work 7 days a week on my website. Writing articles didn't come so natural to me because I was writing in a different language. I'd never written anything in Spanish before. It used to take me 3 days to write an article, but I was so happy when I saw that my articles got to the top 10 most read or stuff like that. I was just like jumping up and down. And some people around me were not as happy as I was. They just thought it was a kind of frivolous job and it wasn't a real job. And that really kind of upset me, because I just think, I didn't think, you think you've got people supporting in your life, and then you find out that they're not really as supportive as you may have thought. And also they disguise it with saying, oh, we're worried about you, we care about you, and that's not really why. They might just be envious at the end of the day. But I remember also I didn't have that much money at the beginning. It was very hard to actually get things running. And also I had kind of like peaks and troughs of work. Sometimes I had a lot of money, and then the next couple of months I had not much money at all. So I had to really kind of organize myself and work hard and try and make this thing work. But I never kind of lost faith in what I was doing. And I had a couple of really good friends who really kind of saw what I was seeing of the potential of this job that I had created for myself as well. I remember like speaking to some good friends or ex-friends that were every time I would talk about how happy I was about getting a book deal or doing this, doing that, they would just look at me and just say, how many hours are you working? So what are you going to do when you're 60? And just kind of come out with some cutting remark to kind of bring me down. And I found that really difficult to deal with, but to kind of like inspire me to go further though, and do better. And also one former friend of mine as well was saying to me that it was a time when I didn't actually have any money. I was kind of waiting for a payment. That's another thing about freelance life. I mean, you don't get paid at the end of the month every month. It's sometimes, you get paid one day and then you might not have any money for another few months. So it's kind of, I was waiting for a payment that didn't come on time. And she'd come round to my house and she wanted to have dinner because I was a really good vegetarian cook. And then I didn't have the money I'd expected to receive that day. So all I had was literally a vegetarian pizza. And then she came around and was just complaining that I didn't have the dinner on the table. And she said, I didn't eat at lunch because I thought you'd be making a big dinner for me. I was like, sorry. And then she ate the last food that I had when I had no money. And then she was even complaining about that, about the fact that I didn't have any food. And then she said, let's go out for dinner. So I said, okay, but I've got no money. And she said, okay, I'll get you dinner. So we go out for dinner. And then and at this point, I was actually going to ask this friend to lend me 50 euros just so I could kind of tie me over until I was going to get this big payment. And when I saw how tight she was being, I thought, I'm not going to ask, there's no way. And then we were in the restaurant. I just saw how awkward it was when she paid. I was just like, ooh. And then she said, when I said to her, do you mind dropping me off in your taxi, which is literally going to cost her €5 more than her route. And then she was like, okay. And, because it was late at night. I didn't want to walk home alone. And so then I just felt so awkward around her. And then the next day, she starts sending me all these messages saying that it's not good that what I'm doing, and that if I need help with my CV, then she would help me get a real job, kind of thing. And I can kind of understand how maybe you see someone who's doing a project and then they can barely eat. You might think, hey, do something else. But the way she kind of approached it was really, really patronizing, and it just made me cry, because then she said, she starts going on saying that she earned $250,000 a year and she's got all this money. And I just thought, wow. And you were complaining about a dinner of 40 euros and this and that. And wow, I just thought it was really crazy. But I had to deal with situations like that when I was starting. But now it's taken me, even with family as well, always saying that I had no money and this, that, and the other. But I think whatever you do in it when you start a new project, I think it's really important to, to have your finances under control. And maybe if you're starting with nothing, I mean, I literally started with nothing, and I had to pay rent. I had lots of expenses, but I also did Airbnb as well in my spare room, so I got some extra income there to kind of as a backup. But for me, I always believed that it would kind of slowly increase, and it did, and it's all fine. And now that I'm quite comfortable. These people who criticize me so much, they're not clapping for me. They're kind of like not happy about it, which is kind of funny. It's not funny, but you know what I mean. But anyway, yeah, I think. But for me, when I was a student, that kind of not having any money and it really did prepare me for that kind of sacrifice that I was willing to make at the beginning of my sex blogging career. Yeah. So what else was I going to say on my list? Yeah. So I've done many things over the years. It started off as mainly writing, and then it became more kind of when I became very popular in Spanish media, I started to receive sex toys, and that's how now my main business is sex toys. Basically, it revolves around sex toys, designing them, reviewing them, promoting them, all of that kind of stuff. And so my day-to-day routine and tasks have changed a lot over the years, but I've really enjoyed that flexibility and being able to adapt to my tastes and to different market needs, because things have really changed as well, because I have 8 boxes of press in my spare room with my sex toys as well. but I've seen kind of the death of print media in this time, and it's not really what it used to be. And a lot of magazines that I used to write for no longer exist as well. But on the bad side of having a really fun job or having a dream job, because it really is a dream job what I have. I mean, for example, I remember I actually wrote a book which was a memoir with a really big publisher here in Spain, and it took me 4 months. And all I did for 4 months was literally it was like therapy. It was like paid therapy. I was literally remembering my past and remembering things that were significant. And I was listening to different music that I used to listen to in different eras, just to kind of like provoke those memories and write. And also recounting an erotic encounter for a story, or testing a sex toy. All of these things are a lot of fun. But if I'm really honest, what has been hard about that is knowing where work stops and the life begins. Kind of that work-life balance is a bit kind of not so clear where that limit is, if there is one. So sometimes I've not known when to stop working, kind of thing. That's kind of hard for me, because I do enjoy what I do a lot. And it's only been the last couple of years that I've actually started to have weekends off and being completely disconnected and do other things as well. But now all the things I do in my spare time, such as yoga, the gym, veganism and all that, all of those things are kind of like translating or becoming part of my work as well, and the content that I create. So I don't really think I have a dream job. It's more of a lifestyle, really. So the work I create for myself is constantly evolving as my lifestyle evolves. So that's a really, really, really cool thing. But I'm really glad that the corporate world didn't work out for me. And one thing that's really different about my life now, working for myself and working compared with when I worked for someone else, is that I have a lot more energy now. Back in the day when I was working as a, let's say, export salesperson, I used to feel absolutely shattered on a Friday night. I just couldn't even go out. I was so tired. And then on Saturday, I didn't get out of bed until 2 p.m. I was just absolutely exhausted. Whereas now I'm up at 8 or 9 in the morning and I'm ready to go. And then every day is kind of a similar in terms of how many hours I sleep, etc., and my energy levels. So that's something that I really, really do enjoy. So yes, as an orgasm activist, I definitely dream of labour. Well, actually, I'm dreaming now of having kind of my orgasmic lifestyle and just accentuating that and developing it more and more, and that will become content as gradually. Yeah. So love to know your thoughts on this, and also one more thing about what do you do in your job. I mean, especially in England where I'm from, that's kind of synonymous with your how worthy you are as a person. I don't really agree with that at all. I think I also had a lot of judgment when I was at university, when I was telling people that I wasn't going to work for one of these big corporate companies after graduation. I was actually going to go to Spain and teach English. And I said to such a friend, I was going to go to live in Spain, and they said, "What are you going to do there? Sell ice cream? I thought you were ambitious." And I was thinking, well, I'm going to learn another language. So, and now I feel very, very happy and that I've created a completely unique profession and job, something that does serve people, and I can make a living from it and live very, very, very well and live very comfortably and happily, which is the objective. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this subject and let us know what your dream job is, or if you do not dream of labour. And yeah, if you have any suggestions for new videos, don't hesitate to contact me at venusohara.org or on Instagram at venusohara. Thanks for watching.